Now the fun begins, baby. The offseason is officially here. The clock hit zero. The Texans offseason, it's been going for a while. It's been going well, but now it officially begins. It's going to get really fun. We're about 4 weeks away from the start of free agency, 10 weeks and change away from the start of the draft. That clock hitting zero in this Super Bowl game, man, what an anticlimactic ending, though. My God, Kansas City. How many draft picks of the Texans' first round picks? If I told you that you could get the calls that the Kansas City Chiefs have gotten in these games, how many first round picks would you trade for that? Would you trade all of them? Would you trade two? Would you trade a couple? Would you try to trade like just for a whole season? If you could get the calls that Kansas City got, what kind of draft equity would you give up? But that's neither here nor there, because I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I don't really care. I follow the Texans. I cover the Texans. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for digital daily Texans content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app, the official home of the Texans. This is your best resource for Texans digital content. There are a lot of options, but I would much appreciate you coming here, because I will keep you locked in. I'll keep you updated on what's going on. We talk to players, we talk to coaches, talk to owners. We're at all the games. So keep it locked here. But as that clock hit zero, I got to say, this was probably one of the most satisfying Super Bowls that I can remember through Texans goggles. Now, obviously, I know that people say, well, they've never been there. They've never even been to an AFC Championship game. So you're usually a casual observer when it comes to watching the big game and the game before the big game through Texans goggles. But I got to thinking, the fact that we can officially put 2022 in the rear view and we can officially get excited, even more excited about the DeMeco Ryans era, where does this rank on the most satisfying, on the list of the most satisfying Super Bowl results through Texans goggles? I would say it's up there. Now, some of you may have had strong resentment in your heart towards the old Oilers, the Tennessee Titans. So when you saw the Titans lose in heartbreaking fashion in the manner in which they did, Kevin Dyson coming up a yard short, that might have been as good as it got for you. Maybe some of you hated Peyton Manning. You like to see Peyton Manning lose a couple of Super Bowls. What is, put it in the comments, subscribe, like, what is through Texans goggles, what is the most satisfying Super Bowl result that you can remember? Because this is mine, because I'm excited. I like how excited everyone appears to be about DeMeco Ryans. I like the fact that they got this draft equity. We're talking about the second pick. We're talking about the 12th pick. We're talking about all this draft equity and an exciting offseason ahead. This is near the top for me. And I decided to reach out to a Texans legend, the man with the golden pipes, my friend, man that you hear every Sunday, Marc Vandermeer, and ask for his list. See the Texans goggles he's got on? You like that? That's the Marc Vandermeer Texans goggles. I just asked him. He sent me the following text, and these are his. The Colts losing in 2009 after they wimped out and didn't go for an undefeated season and pulled their starters versus the Jets in Week 16. A win would have set the Texans up for their first playoff berth. So that was his. He liked kind of the Texans karma in 2009. And he also liked the Philadelphia Eagles over New England. He was satisfied to see them lose to Nick Foles because we got tired of seeing the Patriots. So that's Marc Vandermeer's list. What is your list? This is my most satisfying one by far and away because I'm excited about this offseason. It officially begins now. We don't have to watch other teams play. Everyone's on an equal playing field. We're all pumped. Bobby Slowick's going to be the OC. There's a staff building. And there's excitement brewing, and there's a lot of talk now. Now we're talking about free agency in 4 weeks, and we're talking about the draft. Localized thoughts from this Super Bowl. Locker Room. I am Landry Locker. Subscribe, like. That's like my reset. I know this isn't radio, but I keep doing resets. Sometimes it just be like that. Number one localized thought from this Super Bowl is the Nick Sirianni lesson. And I know they didn't come out on top, but Nick Sirianni has done an excellent job with the Philadelphia Eagles, regardless of how you look at it. He's overachieved at the highest level. You can tell he's they seem to be building something there. And for all the excitement about DeMeco Ryans, and I love the DeMeco Ryans hire from every angle, but for how exciting it is, and a lot of it has to do with the popularity, I do think it needs to be mentioned that Nick Sirianni was probably one of the most unpopular hires of all time. Easily one of the most unpopular hires that I can remember. He bombed his press conference. Kevin Hart was making fun of him. Pat McAfee was making fun of him. ESPN was making fun of him. Eagles fans hated him. Everybody hated the hire. He was being mocked, ridiculed, etc. And he's done a good job. So the lesson there, and maybe it's humbling, maybe it's Captain Obvious, is that the most popular hire isn't always the right hire. I give the DeMeco Ryans hire an A+. I think it's clear that everyone wanted him. All the romance, nostalgia, and just his build. I give it an A+ right now. We might look back at this 3 years and look at it differently, but for where we are right now, I give it an A+. I saw DJ Bianime of ESPN, my guy, DJ, friend of the show, said it's undecided and we won't know till they win games. I'm sure that's going to make for some awesome offseason columns at ESPN. What are you saying? Right now, A+, but yeah, that's kind of Captain Obvious. But the Sirianni lesson is localized thought number one. Localized thought number two, the trades. The trades. Nick Caserio is going to have to make some trades. He's going to have to make all types of trades. You look at these teams. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the straw that stirs the drink. There are cores built in the draft, but the trades, whether it's draft day trades, Philadelphia trading up for Devontae Smith, Philadelphia trading for A.J. Brown, Philadelphia trading for a lot of other guys on their roster. Kansas City, draft day trade, trading up to get Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City trading for Frank Clark. Kansas City trading for Tony in season. He had the touchdown and then the punt return that I think kind of swung the game. Trades from all angles. Trades, insanely important. So trades is the second localized thought. Next localized thought. Picking second. We talk about picking second for the Texans, and we build this up as like a pivotal moment in franchise history, and it is. But if you're making the right trades, you're making the right decisions, you're making the right signings, you cannot hit a home run with a second pick, and you can still build hell of a football team. Philadelphia, case in point. 2016, they traded up to get Carson Wentz. Didn't go according to plan. You did get about a season of MVP ball. Nick Foles took over. But despite missing on that, because you were able to flip him and trade him for a first rounder, you were able to develop guys, you were able to put together arguably the best roster in the NFL, you were able to put together two Super Bowl caliber teams despite, quote, missing on that number 2 pick. So as much as we hype up the number 2 pick, everything's important when it comes to team building. And if you do other things right, you don't have to take too much of a step back and be just reliant on that number 2 pick. Number 4, localized thought. When the F is Andy Reid going to retire? When is this going to end? I know Patrick Mahomes is easy to coach. When's Andy Reid going to go away? I'm ready for him to go away. There's talk that Matt Nagy would be the replacement. I think that's what Patrick Mahomes wants. That's what a lot of people think. They probably wanted to elevate Mike Kafka. If Bieniemy got a job, I guess Bieniemy is going to go elsewhere. I don't think they'll miss a beat there. Andy Reid's the one calling the plays, and Bieniemy probably needs to go get do what Kafka did and kind of separate himself from it, and then see what happens there. But when is Andy Reid going to retire? Just retire. Number 5, localized thought. Fletcher Cox. What is Philadelphia going to do about Fletcher Cox? They got some bills coming up. He was a teammate of DeMeco Ryans. He's still in his 30s. He's still got a lot of ball left. I don't think Philadelphia is going to give him a hefty contract. They got some young guys on that line. They got a lot of talent on that line. He's kind of a fan of being in the South. I know he likes to race cars. I know that he speaks very highly of DeMeco Ryans. Maybe he wants to play some ball. Maybe Fletcher Cox could come to the Texans and be a leader on this team. Kind of makes you think. Very satisfying Super Bowl, but now the true fun begins. Fun times, fun times, fun times. Follow along on here, The Locker Room, #1 source for daily Texans digital content. Listen to Sports Radio 610, 6A to 6P, Payne and Pendergast, up to the show of record, In the Loop with myself and John Lopez, and then The Drive with Clint and Ron and Tyler. And keep it locked here. It's fun times. The digital game is popping right now. There's a lot more people in the game, and just spread the love. Get as much information as you can. There hasn't been enough Texans content, and we put our hearts into covering this thing. No matter what happens, no matter who they hire, no matter whether they end up learning a Sirianni lesson, whether they make good trades, whether they hit a home run on the #2 pick, and whether Andy Reid retires or not, or Fletcher Cox comes here. Just remember, when it comes to this Texans game, we are all in this together. Now the fun begins.